north of the country. Well, viewers, those are the headlines. It's a warm welcome to GRTS News, and we begin with the presidency. The Office of the President informs the public that, at the invitation of the private office of His Highness Sheikh Marwan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Adama Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia, will travel to Dubai on Saturday, 3rd April 2021, on a 5-day walking visit. A media release from the State House says the President and his delegation will, among other issues, explore possible partnerships to promote and strengthen a public-private partnership to enhance socio-economic development, the release concludes. The Minister of Agriculture, together with officials from the National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation, have received on behalf of the government the first consignment of fertilizers at the Amdalai borders. The fertilizers arrived in March, at least 3 months ahead of the farming season. The Gambia government reaffirms its commitment in serving the best interests of farmers in boosting production and productivity. By Ibrahim Cham has more on that.
The government has purchased 20,000 tons of fertilizers at a cost of $11 million, 3 months ahead of the rainy season. The consignment consists of 10,000 tons of NPK compound fertilizers, 7,000 tons of 620-10 compound fertilizers, and 3 tons of Urea 46 fertilizers. The Agri Minister received the first consignment, 7,000 tons at the Amdalai post. At the venue, Minister Fabre urged for distribution to be prioritized among primary cooperative marketing secretaries for easy access to farmers in rural Gambia.
North Bank region is one of them because at the moment women are also doing vegetable production, so they need fertilizer. If you go to Sierra North and South, they need fertilizer because they are producing rice under URA. This will enhance the entire agricultural crop production system in this country. In fact, all the regions are important. So at the moment, if they receive this, it means it will increase their yield in the area of vegetable production, rice production, to name few. So it means a lot. And this year also is a critical year because of this COVID-19. It's important for farmers to have fertilizer on time, so that at least they can also purchase on time.
The current managing director of the National Food Security Processing Marketing Corporation, Mohammed Jai, mentioned that the coming of the fertilizers in the month of March gives farmers enough time for preparation ahead of the 2021 farming season.
And if you look at the NDP, the outcomes and the results indicated that groundnut production has to be increased from 89,000 to 100,000. So one way of doing that is to increase the production and also to provide the farming implements and the inputs. And here today we are receiving the inputs.
Falala Toure cautioned farmers not to sell the fertilizers to neighboring countries as it was widely practiced in previous years.
This fertilizer is brought in to boost our production. And it would be unfair to everybody in this country to purchase this fertilizer and sell it outside this country again. That would be most unfair, it would be most unfortunate. We must also remember that government, in addition to purchasing this fertilizer, has also subsidized, has also put in some money so that farmers are able to purchase the fertilizer, so that their purchasing power is boosted.
The Agri Minister made mention that the Gambia government will subsidize the fertilizers to ensure farmers access affordable fertilizer.
Government is subsidizing a lot. One bag of fertilizer, government is subsidizing $1,300. So this shows that we are committed and that we want to ensure that crop production in this country is improved. Because some of the small-scale farmers, they don't have money to buy fertilizer. That's why the government is subsidizing this heavy amount of fertilizer. And I want to ensure the farming community that the fertilizer price, we're going to maintain it.
Officials disclosed that the next consignment of 13,000 tons of fertilizers is expected to arrive in April, which will also be released for immediate distribution upon arrival. Reporting for GRTS News, I'm by Ibrahim Chan.
Moving on. The public is hereby informed that the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, as part of its monitoring of prices of commodities, has observed with great concern the continuous hikes in the prices of some of these commodities, especially cement. Following these observations, the ministry has conducted a series of consultations with relevant stakeholders, and it was confirmed that there is a disproportional increase between the wholesale and retail prices of cement. A press release from the Trade Ministry says the factory price ranges from $265 to $285, whilst the retail price has ranged from $340 to $400 over the past few weeks. The Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment wishes to inform that the Essential Commodities Act, enacted by the National Assembly in 2015, serves to ensure that in the interest of the general public, the importation, distribution, and retailing of essential commodities in the Gambia is regulated to ensure its availability at fair and reasonable prices. By this declaration, cement is now classified as an essential commodity in line with the Essential Commodities Act 2015. As such, according to the dispatch, all importers, distributors, and retailers of cement are required to obtain a license from MOTI with immediate effect in line with the Act. In addition to cement, all importers, distributors, and major retailers of the following essential commodities are reminded to obtain a license from MOTI by 1st of May 2021. Rice, sugar, edible oil, onions, potatoes, flour, chicken legs, and whole chicken. In view of this, the release adds government is imposing a price cap on the wholesale price of a bag of cement at $285 and a cap on the retail price at $305 with immediate effect. Any entity or person found selling cement at any price above the capped prices will be subject to the full penalty of the law as stipulated in the Consumer Protection Act 2014. The public is also encouraged to report any incident of cement sales above the capped price to MOTI or the Gambia Competition and Consumer Protection Commission for immediate action. The dealers in cement are hereby reminded that the act of hoarding is against the Hoarding Prohibition Act number 8 of 2009, it concludes. Away from that, the Public Utility Regulatory Authority and officials of the National Petroleum Office of Mali continued engagements at the GAM Petroleum and Castle Depot at Mandinari. Modu Bajan has the rest of that story.
As part of their ongoing engagements, officials of Mali's National Petroleum Office ONAP, alongside senior personnel of Public Utility Regulatory Authority PURA, visited GAM Petroleum and the Castle Depot at Mandinari. For PURA Director of Petroleum, Momodou Lamin Somposisi, the move is geared toward the already growing petroleum re-export trade partnership with their Malian counterparts.
This sector is growing and there are more people investing and also to serve not only the Gambia but the sub-region. It's the Malians who will choose where to go. So the most competitive supplier is the one that they will come to. So as you can see when you're coming, there are almost 70 trucks queued here, which are probably more than even the Gambian trucks that are queued here. And Mali is a big country, maybe 20, 30 times the big size of the Gambia. Even if we have 10% of that market, it's a huge consumption.
Speaking to the press, the Director General of the National Petroleum Office ONAP of Mali, Issa Kondo, revealed that the two parties discussed issues such as easing the transportation challenges experienced during the movement of petroleum from the Gambia to Mali.
When we heard that the Ministry of Finance was in Dakar to discuss about it.
Par rapport à ce
problème.
To talk about the
Parce qu'il y
problem.
a beaucoup de camions maliens qui sont bloqués sur le territoire sénégalais.
For trucks, Malian trucks that are parked there.
Nous espérons que les discussions de haut niveau permettront
We think that the discussion at the higher level will help a
débloquer
lot.
cette situation.
Heading GAM Petroleum's HR and admin, Lamin Gay is optimistic of more progress as regards trade with the Malians. He added that they are striving to tackle the existing obstacles of the sector.
The visit, is definitely, crucial in terms of strengthening, the relationship, between not only Gambia and Mali, but also entities like GAM Petroleum and some of the customers and entities, that exist in Mali. So discussions, center around how best we can strengthen this relationship, to deepen, our economies. The obstacles do exist. The numerous checkpoints, drivers will have to go through, across the borders. And this should be addressed, consistent with ECOWAS protocols, with AFCFTA, because we want, one Africa. You understand? Where goods and people will flow, smoothly.
At the nearby Kasul depot, the team was taken on a conducted tour of the facility, which is witnessing some expansion work. The managing director of Kasul, Hasib Nasri, hailed Pura for what he said is an ideal step towards improving the sector's sub-regional needs.
We are very, very, very grateful to Pura and GRA to arrange such a visit by the Malian delegation to come and see what we have and to show the Malian delegation that Gambia is getting ready for more international trade. And hopefully we will try to be as competitive as possible to convince the Malian traders to come to Gambia.
Seeking to strengthen partnership and address non-technical barriers to trade, this engagement by Pura and their counterparts from ONAP of Mali may well better the country's growing petroleum re-export trade. For the news, this is Modu Bajan.
The governor of the West Coast region on Thursday presided over the setting up of a council of elders in the 9 districts of the region at a ceremony held at the governor's office in Brikama. The ceremony was attended by the Minister of Information, district chiefs and other local authorities and a cross-section of the community. Yusuf Abojang tells us more.
The governor of West Coast Region, Lamin Sane, said the inaugurated Council of Elders meant to resolve communal disputes and conflicts such as land issues, among others.
Most of the problems happening within our areas. Because if you look at it more thoroughly, there are many problems across, all over, especially in West Coast Region. Ranging from land disputes, ranging from truancy, and most of other these relevant things. So I think getting these people together from Council of Elders will at least help them to make sure that all these problems at least are solved within our own localities. Because having to build local institutions on the ground will strengthen our democracy, it will strengthen our governance system at least upward level.
The Minister of Information, Communication and Infrastructure, Ibrahim Silla, spoke on the importance of the initiative, saying it will help not only in conflict prevention and management, but also strengthen peaceful coexistence in the region.
The setting up of this regional committee of elders, the importance of it cannot be overemphasized. Looking at the emerging issues that we have in the West Coast region, it is extremely necessary that we have a committee like this that is from the very grassroots level to mediate any disagreements or conflicts, especially as they relate to land and other issues, because it is recognized that there are so many challenges within the West Coast region. And these are part of the dispute resolution mechanisms that the region itself has recognized that it has to be instituted.
Minister Silla stressed that no meaningful development can take place in the absence of peace, while urging people to be law-abiding.
The important thing for this group is that it is the Sefolus themselves, the chiefs, who initiated it and selected, from among themselves, the Alkalolu, the imams, the traditional leaders, the religious leaders, faith
faith-based groups, and also, influential, opinion leaders, so that, they can resolve any issue at their level that may escalate into conflict.
The chief of Combo South, Lamin Dabo, commended the governor for the initiative, saying land disputes is common in the region and the setting up of the council in each district will ease the burden on chiefs.
It's a big sigh of relief, not only to the governor, but to all regional administrations as well. Because as you know, Combo area is infested with so many land cases. And it's practically impossible for district tribunals alone to solve all these land cases. So it is quite a big sigh of relief with the formation of the Council of Elders, try to help to ease the burden on district tribunals. And as chiefs, we are custodians of traditional and customary values. Right? Our duty is not only to preside over cases, our duty is also to ensure that tradition prevails, peace and harmony is settled within the society.
Other speakers include the Alcalde of Brikama, Bakari Debu Santam Bojang, Lamin Jata, the NPP regional chairman. Both commended the regional governor for the initiative, saying it will help in conflict prevention and strengthen peaceful coexistence. They all advised members of the council to be God-fearing in discharging their duties. All the district chiefs in the West Coast region reiterated their resolve in working closely with their respective councils for the maintenance of peace and stability. Yusufa Bojang, GRTS News.
For that report by Yusufa Bojang takes us to a first commercial break. The sports news is up next. Do stay.
There's a new update from your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell.
For all of you that have struggled to buy cash power beyond $7,000, AfriCell has done it again. The limit to buy cash power is now up to $30,000. Oh yes, $30,000.
Buy all the cash power you want from your AfriMoney account by dialing *777#.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
It's an amazing offer. AfriMoney just got way better. The threshold for cash in and cash out on your AfriMoney has been increased.
Where it used to be 10,000 per transaction, now it has been increased to 30,000. Meaning your AfriMoney account, you can now withdraw and deposit up to $30,000 at once.
Cashing in and out just got 3 times easier. For more info, call 777.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back, and now a bit of sports for you. The Minister of Defense, Sheikh Omar Faye, has presented sporting materials to the Gambia Armed Forces at a ceremony held at the Defense Ministry in Banjul. This is in fulfillment of one of the ministry's core functions to revive the culture of sports in the military. Janke Ture has more on that.
Sport is a very important social institution in the Gambia Armed Forces, and recognizing the vital role sport plays in the military, the Minister of Defense, Sheikh Omar Faye, donated sporting materials to the Gambia Armed Forces. Minister Faye stated that the objective of the initiative is to revive the inter-service sports within the Army.
We want to revive the inter-service sports competition that we used to enjoy when we were younger officers in the 80s. And the armed forces have been doing tremendously well in not only being the best in peacekeeping around the world, but also we have produced some sporting professionals in all areas of the sporting arena. And you cannot talk about that unless you remember some personalities who also did great.
Military life has been underpinned by competitive sports. Thus, this activity is highly needed in the Gambia Armed Forces. In this regard, the minister urged beneficiaries to make best use of the items.
It is always fair that all Gambians should appreciate the armed forces and support the armed forces to implement the recommendations of the security sector reforms. And ladies and gentlemen, General, this is part of beginning to inculcate some of the things that we figured we should bring back. Because all work with no play, the old saying goes, make Jacks a dull boy. You cannot be excellent in peacekeeping and doing everything. You should also have recreation, extracurricular activities. That's why the GRA and Social Security, when I approached their leadership, they said, Honorable Minister, it's a commendable gesture. We're going to start what they call Friends of the Ministry of Defense, Friends of the Security, and they will start to contribute to help our troops so that they can be in the camps to play soccer, play volleyball.
The Chief of Defense Staff, Yakuba Drame, commended Minister Faye for the gesture, which he said is not a surprise. He further highlighted the importance of sports in the army, describing it as a cardinal function of the military.
If I may assert, sporting and game constitute a very integral part of what we are known for. In the military, we cannot afford to be lazy. We always engage ourselves in sporting and games activities. Why do we do that? It constitutes part of our professional ethics. An armed force that is not fit physically, mentally, cannot be considered to be competent to perform their constitutional mandate to the expectations of admiration of Gambians and non-Gambians or not.
For beneficiaries like Major Abdullah Job, who thanked the minister for the gesture, said the items have come at the right time.
The Armed Forces Training School is actually a sporting unit. Our job is to train soldiers, and we do sports on a daily basis. So this will just reinforce our commitment to sports, and I mean, these materials, they've just come at the right time.
The materials, including footballs, basketballs, jerseys and trophies, are expected to enhance their capacity in the sporting field. Jaget Ture, GRTS News.
We'll take another short break. When we return, we will take a look at news from outside the Gambia. Welcome back, and over now to news from outside the Gambia. The regional bloc is said to be preparing a military intervention in northern Mozambique, where militant violence has been raging since 2017. We have more in this CGTN report.
The presidents of Zimbabwe and Botswana met in Harare on Wednesday as southern African states rushed to craft a response to the worsening security situation in Mozambique. The regional bloc is said to be preparing a military intervention in northern Mozambique, where militant violence has been raging since.
President Masisi is the current chairperson of the Troika. So he was briefing me about the security situation in the region, with particular emphasis on what is happening in Cabo Delgado.
We have formed views as a troika. One of them will result in taking this further so that we as SADC respond in a helpful manner to ensure that we assure the integrity and sovereignty of one of our own, never to be assaulted by dissident, rebellious and non-state actor forces.
The United Nations has said thousands have fled the northern town of Palma, which was overrun by armed fighters last week, to seek safety in other areas of Mozambique. Some have sought refuge in neighboring Tanzania. The Mozambican government said dozens of civilians were killed in the attack.
The security situation remains volatile and is of concern to all of us.
The UN Migration Agency has already registered about 8,000 people at arrival points in Nangade, Mueda, and Winterpuiz, as well as Pemba. Thousands have arrived today in Pemba and other areas of Cabo Delgado. We have information that hundreds of people are still trying to leave Palma right now, and thousands are making their way by foot, boat, and road. Some are being rescued by the UN's humanitarian air services and other civil society groups.
Government forces working with private military contractors were said to be fighting to regain control of the strategic town.
U.S. Border Patrol agents detained more than 100,000 migrants in February alone, a figure that is expected to increase in the coming weeks. But because of a COVID-19 policy, most of them have returned to Mexico, and that is a real concern for migrants' living conditions at a Mexican side of the border. An estimated 15,000 migrant children or teenagers are in federal custody, roughly a third of them in facilities meant for adults. The U.S. is on a pace to see 2 million undocumented migrants arrive this year. The problem has become impossible to ignore. Well, CGT and Shan JD visited a temporary facility for migrants at the U.S.-Mexican border and found most of them are living in harsh conditions.
Patrol agent detained more than 100,000 migrants in February this year alone, a figure that's expected to increase in the coming weeks. And because of the COVID-19 policy, most of them are returned to Mexico. And there is a real concern for migrants' living conditions at Mexican side of the border, with an estimate 15,000 migrant children or teenagers already in federal custody, roughly a third of them in facilities meant for adults. And with the U.S. on pace to see 2 million undocumented migrants arrive this year, the problem has become impossible to ignore. The influx had begun to grow even before Biden came into office in January this year, prepared partly by deteriorating conditions in parts of Central America. There is a growing humanitarian crisis at the border. The numbers of migrants fleeing violence, nature disasters, and economic hardship spiked.
Well, back to our earlier mentioned story, where employment remains a development challenge for most countries around the world, especially third world countries. Governments in developing countries continue to struggle in meeting the demand of their citizens by creating avenues for employment and poverty reduction. If the attention of the policymakers is refocused on improving the salt mining industry through communalization, and the sector can be a viable avenue for greater employment opportunities and income generation. To find answers to the way forward, our correspondent in the North Bank region, Famara Kanyi, traveled to Jokado Darussalami to look at the possibilities of reviving the sector to improve outcome and production, as well as create a livelihood for the vast majority of people who depend on the industry for survival.
Jammeh is one of the three Gambian women who traveled to India in 1985. It was 36 years ago, but she has memories of the entire travel still fresh in her mind.
Bidum futata London nga suta sabal ke London sato ko nga suta sabal ke ji. Wala kola bidunga visa soto London na continentata India.
We spent 3 nights in London after having our visas, then we left for India, arriving in Mumbai late in the afternoon.
Tilo salfana njita bombele. Na pleno jita bombe. Nata bo bombe, nata continentata Madras.
The trip was part of the Gambia-India cooperation on salt mining. Upon return, they were supposed to be the vanguards of salt miners in the country. The international exposure was meant to be a build-up on what they already had. She told me about their return from India and the failures they had in transferring the new technologies learned during their 3-month stay in Madras.
We brought in some innovative ideas on salt mining. but our interventions were short-lived due to resource constraints.
Begging for salt is a taboo in Dar es Salaam. The abundance of the commodity had earned the village the nickname Land of Salt. On average, a family of 10 can harvest up to a ton per season. The mining industry is also the mainstay of the people, employing up to 60% of women in the village. The trade in salt is very tedious and with low income. These challenges, coupled with the lack of a ready market, is chasing many of the miners out of a business that was once lucrative.
If we, the women of Dar es Salaam, we are getting a good market for our salt, most of us would have been rich by now. We only sell at the weekly markets, and there, in most cases, we will compete with Senegalese sellers.
Today, operations at the Dar es Salaam salt mining area are rapidly declining. The trade no longer attracts the attention of the younger generation, and the number of active miners too is dwindling. The Gambia government, through the National Environment Agency, intervened to improve the salt mining industry. The agency had succeeded in the construction of this fish pond and ensured the rehabilitation of many old salt basins in the mining area. The intervention, however, had left many miners dissatisfied.
The project has failed because the area that they used was not where we identified. If only that the project officials had listened to us.
The salt mining industry of Dar es Salaam, if improved, can provide employment for many Gambians and also curb youth migration. But the issue of processing, storage and marketing of the salt must be addressed to make it a viable trade. For the news, I am Famara Kanye.
Over now to the weather report courtesy of the Central Forecast Office.
Hello, good evening viewers, and welcome to the latest weather report from the Central Forecast Office. And I'm your presenter, Salif Njai. Tonight, relatively cool and slightly hazy atmosphere will prevail. The weather for tomorrow, fairly cool in the morning, becoming sunny and warm in the afternoon, with the persistence of slight hazy conditions during the period. Winds will vary between northerly and northeasterly in direction, with speeds ranging from 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. Minimum temperatures are expected to be 20 degrees Celsius over the Greater Banjul area and West Coast region, 19 degrees Celsius over North Bank region, 21 degrees Celsius over Lower River region, 22 degrees Celsius over Central and Upper River region. Maximum temperatures are expected to be 35 degrees Celsius over the Greater Banjul area, 37 over West Coast region, 39 degrees Celsius over North Bank and Lower River region, 41 degrees Celsius over Central and Upper River region. Now we shift our attention to the marine forecast. Low tide will be 0.2 meter at 6 a.m., 0.3 meter at 7 p.m. High tide will be 1.7 meter at 12 a.m., 1.7 meter at 1 p.m. The sun will rise a minute to 7 and will set at 19 minutes after the hour of 7. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Good night.
Hello. That weather update by Salifunjai. A quick look at our headline making stories. President Adama Barrow is set to travel to Dubai on Saturday for a walk-in visit to explore possible partnership for enhanced socio-economic development. The Gambia has received the first consignment of fertilizers 3 months ahead of the rainy season, demonstrating government's commitment to boost agricultural production in the country. The governor of the West Coast region has inaugurated Council of Elders in 9 districts of the region. And Southern African leaders have been discussing the security situation in Mozambique amid militant insurgency in the north of the country. For viewers, that was all in this edition of the News at 8. Join us at 10 for more news. Until then, do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs.
yóbbu tooñaakoon yi ci yoon wala baalal leen ba léegi bokk na ci cëri TRRC ñu joxe ay digle mu aju ci toppa tooñaakoon ci yoon ngir liñ jalgati axi doomi aadama yi wala ñu jéggal leen ba léegi nag TRRC joxewut benn digle pour yóbbu tooñaakoon ci yoon wala baalal leen.
Hello! There's a new update from your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell.
For all of you that have struggled to buy cash power beyond $7,000, AfriCell has done it again. The limit to buy cash power is now up to $30,000. Oh yes, $30,000.
Buy all the cash power you want from your AfriMoney account by dialing *777#.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
It's an amazing offer. AfriMoney just got way better. The threshold for cash in and cash out on your AfriMoney has been increased.
Where it used to be 10,000 per transaction, now it has been increased to 30,000. Meaning, your AfriMoney account, you can now withdraw and deposit up to $30,000 at once.
Cashing in and out just got 3 times easier. For more info, call 777.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن